Yes, indeed. Welcome into another episode of Rip N Riff here on the Rip N Riff YouTube channel. After 1 week off, we are back here with our final episode for January 2025. That over there is at Mr. Jared Moore. I am at Pucking Thoughts, Adam Bernard. Welcome to the penultimate of the episode of the football season.
Hooray!
Hey.
Yay! Yeah, can't wait for football to no longer be around. Yay!
Yeah, and then we get the dark days of spring training, which is what it is. I've never been a spring training guy. It's just
I'm very much a like the first Yankee game that's on. Yes, I'll watch like the first 5 innings of it, and then once they put the jobbers in, I'm totally out. And then spring training can't end fast enough, as far as I'm concerned. Like I'm not watching a spring training game on March 18th. Like, sorry, I'm just not doing it.
I don't get me wrong. It's when you go to the games, either in the Cactus League in Arizona or the Grapefruit League in Florida, like that's fun. That's a whole different thing.
And that's something everybody should do once. Like
Yes.
if you have a favorite baseball team, you should. I got to do that about a decade ago. I went down to Florida. We went to. It was in Rivera's last year because I remember, or it might have been Jeter's. It was one of their last year. I think it was Jeter's last year because Jeter 100% played. And so we went to that a Yankee spring training game, and then because my buddy lives right by Disney, we went to see Braves Nationals as well.
Nice, and that's the thing. Like as you know, I don't know if you remember, I got to do 2 separate spring training tours with the doggy, Mad Dog Russo, back-to-back years. One in Florida, one in Arizona.
Yeah,
I was last second. Bill Zimmerman 1 year, I believe, broke his ankle like the week of he was supposed to go, and then like something else happened the other year. Either way, like last second and it was a lot of fun. Like Arizona's great because basically put like a pin in the middle of Phoenix, and most of the spring training facilities are within a 45-minute drive in all the directions, so like you can really do a lot there. That when I went, they still had a couple teams down in Tucson, so that was a cool drive. Then Florida, like it's more spread out, but it's just like it's a lot of fun. But to watch a game on TV, no, sorry, can't do it. We'll be talking more baseball later. We got Paul Skenes card. Finally found that 1 of 1. I've got some 2024 baseball heritage. Speaking of that, why don't we just pull up the pack ripping lineup for today? And I have what you see there scrolling on the bottom of the screen. I got a 2020, or Jared's got 2022 Panini Mosaic football. I'll have some 97 score football. And like I said, the Topps Heritage baseball there. Jared, anything in particular you're looking forward to pulling out of the Mosaic with the rookies and things like that?
No, not particularly. Hopefully some Eagles and Chiefs, so that'll be a natural transition to what will be 2 weeks of lead up to Super Bowl 59 and all the annoying narratives that are going to be coming out over the next 2 weeks, which is already started. We'll get into that a little bit more once we get into the Rip and Rant, but I certainly have a lot to say about that.
And I would love to maybe get a Tony Gonzalez rookie card. That'd be a nice one to pull for. Speaking of Chiefs, there in that 97 score pinnacle pack there, that'd be nice. All right. Speaking of Rip and Rant, I think it's we haven't done it in a while. We've been doing a lot of football preview over the playoffs, but I think it's time to get back to our bread and butter here. It's time to kick things off on Rip and Riff with
my Rip and Rant.
Thanks, Dave. So there we go. Rip and Rant. It's back. We got 2 weeks to preview this game. As Jared was kind of foreshadowing there, and as both of us who have spent many years covering the Super Bowl remotely in various capacities, like it's just by this Sunday we'll be ready for kickoff. Like, and we'll try our best to like not.
We really don't need the extra week. We really don't.
I get why they do it because you get to have the whole build up, and then you get to have Super Bowl media week, and then they have the Super Bowl whatever night thing they do. I get it, but it would be really awesome. Like the years where it was only 1 week, they used to have like every once in a while. That was the case many years ago. That was great, but it is what it is. Speaking of the Super Bowl 59, going to be down in New Orleans, excuse me. They don't like it when you pronounce it the first way. We got the Chiefs and the Eagles, a rematch of 2 years ago. The Eagles dominate in the NFC Championship game thanks to a ton of Commanders turnovers. And then, yeah, I mean, the thing is, if the Commanders actually held on to the football, they might have won that game. I mean, not the way Philly pulled away late, but like if they had kept it closer, I feel like they maybe could have, I don't know, but Philly dominates, and then Kansas City wins another close one against Buffalo. I mean, the Bills Chiefs playoff games, I mean, even if you're not a football fan, I mean, they're worth watching. They're just fantastic. I mean, not if you're a Bills fan, but Chiefs trying to go for 3 in a row, first team in the Super Bowl era to do that. Some people say NFL history. That's not true. Before the Super Bowl, Packers won 3 in a row, and I think a couple others may have going way back. But yeah, first 3 in a row for the Super Bowl era there. And Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and crew are back again.
Yeah, nothing that happened before 1967 matters. So we could put that narrative to bed. Nobody cares about anything pre-Super Bowl era. Sorry, doggy.
Understood.
All right, so that'll lead me directly into my rip and rant. And there's no real way for me to sugarcoat this, so I'm just going to say it.
Okay.
If you are the type of person that actually spends time on the old twitter.com ranting about the Chiefs getting every single call and watching the game through that lens, you are a fucking loser. Like I'm sitting there, I'm watching the game last night, and I'm a casual, I don't have any dog in the fight. I'm a Giants fan. I'm not rooting for either the Bills or the Chiefs particularly, aside from which one of these teams can beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl in 2 weeks. That's all I really care about as an unbiased observer. I'm watching the game, and I'm sitting there, and like I'm fully well aware of this whole narrative with the Chiefs get every call and whatnot. It's like, yeah, they get a lot of calls. You know what else they do? They take advantage of every fucking break they get. Like that's what championship caliber teams do, you moron. That's what's been happening in the NFL forever, dating back to the Patriots and the Cowboys and all these. You don't think this was a thing in the 70s and 80s when the Steelers and the Raiders were winning, but I digress. So I'm watching the game, and I'm literally lying in bed while I'm watching the game. Is because my whole thing was, as soon as the game's over, I'm just going to turn the TV off and go to bed because I'm just tired. I'm watching the game. I don't see anything like out of the ordinary, from the Bills, like when they have that final drive and whatnot. They eventually turn the ball over on downs. Chiefs kneel it out to win the game. I'm like, all right, Chiefs are going back to the Super Bowl. All right, cool, whatever. So I turn the TV off. I go to bed, and I wake up this morning. And I see this whole discourse about, controversial, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, what was controversial? I don't recall anything from like the last half of that game that was remotely controversial. What are you talking about? Like the spot on that Josh Allen quarterback sneak where you can't see the ball? Like I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. And you know who else had no idea what anyone was talking about? Anyone in the media that was actually covering the game who was well aware of this whole narrative. And you know why I know that? Because none of them bothered to send a pool reporter to talk to Clete Blakeman about the officiating. You don't think the officiating hasn't been talked about ad nauseum in regards to the Chiefs, the last however many months? You could even go back a couple of years if you really want to go back that far. And the fact that nobody who covers the game, and they're all well aware of what the narrative is, nobody thought, let's send the pool reporter to go talk to Clete Blakeman about the officiating. That should tell you right then and there that there was nothing controversial about the game. Like the Chiefs won the game because they're the better football team. They've always been the better football team than the Buffalo Bills. That's why they keep beating them, because their shit's buttoned up. They have the better coach. They have the better quarterback, and they make plays in the clutch while the Buffalo Bills don't, which is why the Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl and the Buffalo Bills are sitting at home once again.
Now, the thing I will say about the end of the game that I think people are pointing to about being quote unquote controversial is the fact that both Jim Nantz on the TV broadcast and Kevin Harlan on the Westwood One broadcast saw a flag that was picked up and then wasn't really discussed after that. And that's what I think people want to know about. But yeah, other than that, and maybe the Josh Allen spot on that, on the 4th and 1 is, questionable, but good teams that have been good teams for a while, they get good calls. It doesn't matter the sport. Michael Jordan got the benefit of ticky-tack and 50-50 calls. Talk to a Maple Leafs fan about what Wayne Gretzky got away with in Game 7 of the 93 Campbell Conference Final that, the Kings didn't go on to win the Cup, but they went on to go to the Cup that year. That just, is it right? No. Do you have to like it? No. Is it bullshit? Sure. But it's not like that's the only reason they're getting this far. Like you said, they have Andy Reid's one of the best coaches in NFL history. Steve Spagnuolo, one of the best defensive coordinators probably in league history. Patrick Mahomes, whatever you want to say about him, one of the best quarterbacks in league history. Travis Kelce, arguably the best tight end in league. Yes, you don't have to like it. There might be things, but it's not like they're getting by on the skin of their teeth that this is a mediocre team that just gets dragged along by good officiating. They have good talent there. Now,
right.
This leads me to what my rip and rant's going to be about the Chiefs.
Can I add one more point before we get to that?
Of course.
Just because I just don't get people that watch the games through that particular lens, where it's like, oh, I can't fucking wait. The second there's anything controversial, then I can just shit on the Chiefs for their accomplishment. Boom. All right, fuck the Chiefs. Yeah, they get another fucking call. They pick up the flag on Dalton Kincaid. And there's never any discussion about, oh, well, what if Dalton Kincaid just catches the ball? How about you actually execute on the play? That's all I'm saying.
This is what I'll say now too, because and I'm a Jets fan that is not anti-Chiefs, other than that they're another AFC team. That's my bias against them. Otherwise, they're indifferent to me. Now the other thing that I'm seeing a lot today is like, oh well, you don't truly appreciate football history if you're rooting against the Chiefs just because you're tired of them. And it's like, no, I'm allowed to appreciate football history and also simultaneously be tired of the same team representing the same conference every year, regardless of, they're getting there because of the benefit of officiating. I'm allowed to be tired of that, and that's okay. Like, right. I love blueberry pie a la mode with a nice scoop of strawberry ice cream on it. You serve that to me, your aces with me. But if you serve that to me every night for a week in a row, 2 weeks in a row, 3, eventually I'm going to get to a point and be like, blueberry pie with strawberry ice cream again. Yay. Like, you're allowed to be tired of something and still fully appreciate the game and the history and for what it's for. I mean, our buddy Joe Sorallo, he made a point last night, like, take Patrick Mahomes off planet Earth, and Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson have a Manning-Brady rivalry that's probably like very even. Joe Burrow you would actually have different quarterbacks you'd have some variety, but the Chiefs are just that good, and that's what Mahomes is. And that's great. And I can appreciate that, hey, I'm getting to watch the career of one of the all-time greats. I started watching football towards the end of Montana, so I remember watching him but I can't appreciate that. I'm a Jets fan, so I saw Brady's whole career, like the 20 years what he did in New England and then in Tampa Bay. I can appreciate, but I'm allowed to be tired of that. I'm allowed to say, hey, maybe nice to see a different team from the AFC once in a while. That's okay.
The only thing I'll add on top of that, and I definitely hear what you're saying there. Since we're talking about the whole quarterback rivalry and whatnot with Mahomes and Josh Allen and Lamar, and you can include Joe Burrow in that, there's clearly different tiers there, and I think we're clearly seeing that year after year. Mahomes is on his own tier, just like how when Brady was playing, Brady was on his own tier, and now you have the next tier where you have guys like Lamar and Josh Allen, who's probably going to win the MVP this year, and Joe Burrow. They're all on that next tier. Kind of like when Brady played, Peyton Manning was on that next tier. Aaron Rodgers was on that next tier. Ben Roethlisberger was on that next tier. Like, these are all great players in their own right. But Mahomes is the all-time great. Mahomes' tier is Brady, is Montana. Like, that's tier.
It.
And then now you have the next tier with all these aforementioned guys. And then somewhere on the third tier is going to be first ballot Hall of Famer Eli Manning when that gets announced in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's going to be. And again,
which will piss everybody off, and I can't wait.
Yeah, and again, it's not it's not annoying to see the Chiefs get the 50-50 calls go their way more often than they don't, and all that stuff. And I get it; it's annoying, but they're also, and somebody might be like, well, maybe the reason they're so good is because they get the benefit of all those calls, and it's like, at a certain point, you still have to go there and make plays to win the game. Again, this is not like a Seattle Seahawks level team that's good, but getting dragged by officiating to greatness. That's not what this is here. So yeah, I'm annoyed with that. I would like to see somebody else out of the AFC. It would be nice. Because in the AFC forever was the Patriots and now it's the Chiefs. You don't get a ton of variety out of that conference. So it would be nice. And again, if Mahomes wins, yeah, I saw the first, we saw Super Bowl three-peat. Hasn't happened yet. That's awesome. Yeah, I'll appreciate it, but that doesn't mean I want to. That doesn't mean I'm. If the Chiefs go back next year, I can't be like, ugh, Chiefs again. That's okay.
The last thing I'll say on this is, all right. Let's say let's say the Bills convert that. Let's say they drive down there and they kick the game-tying field goal with a minute left, 45 seconds left, whatever it is. You don't think the Chiefs are going to march right down that fucking field and win the game in however many seconds they have and however little timeouts, aka the stuff that Patrick Mahomes always does because he's a special talent. Come on.
Yeah. Again, listen, we're not Chiefs supporters here. Like, Jared's not, and that's the thing. Jared's going to be rooting for the Chiefs because he's a Giants fan that doesn't want to see the Eagles win. Totally get that. I'm kind of, as Jared said in our text before, I've got Chiefs fatigue. So I'll be rooting for the Eagles because as a Jet fan, they don't really, there's no beef there. I don't care. I don't love the city of Philadelphia. As a Ranger fan, I don't like the Flyers, but other than that, people can root for who they want to root for the reasons they want to root for. That's another thing too. Like, stop telling people what they should think or how they should feel. Like, can we like, people are allowed to root. If people want to root against the Chiefs because they're tired of the Taylor Swift coverage, whatever, fine. That doesn't affect you. Who cares?
Little known fact, I would very much like to spend a Chiefs game in that box with like Taylor Swift and all those famous people. I think that'd be the coolest experience ever. And I'm not a Taylor Swift fan, but like I just think that'd be so cool to do that. Like, I really want to do it now.
And I'll say this. I mean, just taking who they are out of the equation, that just looks like a fun box to be in for a football game. It looks like they're not just sitting there having polite conversation with the game in the background. They're watching the game. They're having a good time.
It helps that they always win too, which is certainly a factor.
Yeah, because if it was like if she was dating a Jet, it would probably be a lot of her scrolling on her phone and things like that.
All right,
tell me I'm wrong.
No, you're not wrong. All right, let's get into the ripping. I already pre-ripped the pack here, so I dove right in.
There we go.
Yeah, and we started off with a slightly damaged Matthew Stafford card with the LA Rams. Be interesting to see if Stafford gives it another go this year. I still think he has plenty of arm strength left in the tank, and I don't think he played all that poorly in that loss to Philadelphia last week in the snow. I think it's just a matter of they just need a little bit more talent. The Eagles have the better roster.
I will say I agree with Sean McVay when he said something along the lines of like, whatever Matt is deciding he's going to do, he needs to decide it soon. And that's a very fair, because a guy like Sean McVay is not like, he wants to be respectful to a guy like Stafford, but if it's not going to be here, I need to know.
Yep. Cam Hayward, one of the all-time great dudes in the NFL. Walter Payton Man of the Year, just a hell of a player there. It's funny, all these cards are damaged right in the same spot too. It must be something from how they came off like the press or something.
One thing I'll say, sometimes you see that like question floating around online. 4th and goal from the 1, you need to get in the end zone. What running back you're taking? I don't know if people say Craig Ironhead Hayward. His dad, I mean, that guy was just a bowling ball.
Yeah, I mean, I know this is the modern day question, and now if you ask that same question today, I don't think it matters what situation. I think you're just picking Saquon again in the end zone, but
yeah.
That's neither here nor there. And then they have the tush push on top of it. So like they can give you all sorts of different looks there. Trey Lance, here a picture with the 49ers. I love the America theme in the background. We'll see where Trey Lance winds up. I don't know if he'll necessarily be back with Dallas next year because he's a free agent, and he's someone who probably should get a look as like a fringe starter somewhere on a bad team.
Like a Sam Darnold kind of vibe there. But I mean, it's Sam Darnold at least kind of played the backup role in San Francisco and at least proved himself a little bit, where like Trey Lance needs to be given that chance to actually have an extended look somewhere. But I don't know.
Like if I were Trey Lance, like I'd want to go to a place like the LA Rams or something, get on the Sean McVay tutelage and see if you could parlay that into something else.
Yeah. Oh, see. It's probably not. Lance's career is probably over.
Let's see. Corey Davis with the Jets. Corey Davis kind of fell off the face of the earth, unfortunately for him. So
yeah, that went from being like an underrated signing that could actually be good for them to he's a healthy scratch.
Oh, good. Let's see. A very nice damage, but a very nice rookie card here for Sauce Gardner, who did not have a great year this year, but certainly still profiles as a high-end defensive back. And, with the Jets hiring Aaron Glenn, hopefully he can regain his form.
If there's anybody, I mean, listen, the sauce was a little thin, a little watery, a little a little bland last year. So yeah, hopefully
a guy like that.
I will say this: we haven't had an episode since Aaron Glenn got hired. I am a big fan of that hiring. I mean, anybody that watched Aaron Glenn in his career, he was an underrated cornerback. He never gave up a play. He was a bulldog in coverage. If he can instill that mentality into this group, and like you just said, like a guy like Sauce could benefit directly from a guy like Glenn way he played, always facing the other team's top receiver. Maybe the Jets finally have a little bit of hope, although, this also could be a hiring that his peak season is 6-11 in 3 years and he gets fired. We'll see.
I mean, we'll see. They still have to figure out the quarterback position. I know Aaron Glenn said he wants to talk to Aaron Rodgers, so we'll see what happens there. I mean, I think they can go either way with him. Look, I've been as anti-Rodgers as anyone. If I were the Jets, I would just move on. I just don't want that shit lingering over the franchise anymore. But I mean, Aaron Rodgers showed enough at the end of last year where he still has a little something left in the tank. So we'll see. And last but not least, a bang, I guess a moments card, lines at Ravens for DeAndre Swift. The big bang there with and on the back it describes what he did there. So I guess he scored a touchdown in week 3 of 2021 against the Ravens. So
it would have been a fun Super Bowl matchup, Lions Ravens. That would have been a good one.
I'm so mad at the Commanders for beating the Lions because I feel like the Lions would have beaten the Eagles by 10 points yesterday. So I don't know if I can. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get over that anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean the Lions. I think next year has to be the year. Otherwise, now you have to start wondering is a change needed at head coach? Is Campbell good enough to get him on the precipice, but not fully there? That's what you're going to start hearing if the Lions don't get to the Super Bowl next year, at least.
And we're going to see how good a coach Dan Campbell actually is, then with him losing his top 2 coordinators, and particularly Ben Johnson, and how explosive that Lions offense is. If they take a step back without him, it's not going to look good for Dan Campbell, who I think people are certainly look to knock down a peg or two, anyways. All right. It's weird. All these cards are damaged in the same spot too. I got to show this just to kind of point it out. You can kind of see these little niches on the top part of the card. There's one by the Patriots logo there, and then there's another one on the opposite side.
I kind of see it there. Yeah, it seems like maybe the pack got something maybe fell on that side of the pack, or it got jammed, or something. I don't know.
Yes, I mean I mean, if I were more of a hardcore collector, and it's funny, I'm noticing it now in the bottom of these cards too. So it just kind of is what it is. But if I were a more serious collector, I'd be annoyed by it. But it's just whatever. I'm stripping these packs for the show, so it's
exactly.
Christian Watson rookie card with the Green Bay Packers. Obviously that was a big loss for them, not having him in their playoff game against the Eagles with the torn ACL. I don't think it would have mattered anyways. Green Bay never beats elite teams. James Washington with the Dallas Cowboys, and I'm glad we pulled the Cowboy because I guess it's an opportunity to talk about probably the most bizarre head coaching hire of the cycle, with Brian Schottenheimer getting promoted to head coach. And it's always a good sign when you're the Dallas Cowboys and you decide we're going to announce our next head coach with the classic Friday 5 p.m. news dump, which is basically what they did. Which I guess they talked to, they're not going to say it, but I guess they talked to Deion Sanders. He must have said no, or they wouldn't.
Or maybe what he was asking was too much for them, and if he was, kudos to him, because to go work with Jerry Jones. You got to get every last penny you can if you're going to work with Jerry Jones. But they didn't really have a great list of candidates to begin with. So the fact that they settled on Brian Schottenheimer, it was basically him and Kellen Moore, who obviously is familiar with the organization, and that was about it. And they decided to go with Schottenheimer, and you're certainly well aware of Brian Schottenheimer as a Jets fan, so you're well aware of the limited upside there. So I would imagine the Cowboys are going to be back in the head coaching cycle in a year or two. I think part of the problem is now it's just out there that everybody knows, why would I want to take that head coaching gig and work on the Jerry Jones? Because if let's say you're a guy like Pete Carroll, you're not going to go and work in that environment because you've run your own organization. You're not going to answer to somebody. So those guys are automatically out. Deion, after getting a taste of basically running a program in Colorado, knowing that he could just stay there until an NFL opening that he truly, really wants opens up, that's a reasonable, for both sides, he could just take. So he probably set a number that was, hey, if they meet this, fine, I'll go deal with Jerry Jones for that number. That was probably the strategy there. You're the Cowboys. And if you're a guy like a Ben Johnson that's on the rise, or an Aaron Glenn on the rise, why would I want to go to Dallas and hurt my stock? A Mike McCarthy can go there and take a hit because he's Mike McCarthy and we know what he's done.
Right.
You go to Dallas as a Ben Johnson and you have 3 straight 4-3 13 seasons. You may never get a head coaching crack again. So there's no reason to go to Dallas that's probably why Brian Schottenheimer got the job.
Yeah, he was there.
Yeah.
All right. A couple quick cards to finish up the pack. Robbie Anderson, or Robbie Chosen Anderson, whatever he's calling himself these days. He's out of the league. Another guy who's basically out of the league, Matt Corral, former draft pick of the Carolina Panthers, never really panned out at quarterback. And a nice fancy rookie card here. Unfortunately, it's for Cade York, the kicker of the Cleveland Browns. So they can't all be winners here.
That is a pretty rookie card, though.
It's a gorgeous rookie card. I just wish it was a better player than the Cleveland Browns kicker, who may or may not even still be on the team. I honestly have no idea because I don't keep track of kickers.
Let's see. Cade York. What are you up to today, Mr. Cade York? You are a kicker for the Bengals.
Yeah, they must have signed him when what's his face McPherson got hurt or something. Yeah, so it goes to show you NFL not for long. You're not going to be in a place for long if you're not executing, and I guess Cade York is a perfect example of that.
There you go. All right, so we ripped through some 2022 Panini Mosaic there. Now I'm bringing to the table some 1997's Pinnacle Score football there.
Baby.
Let's get that up on the screen. Let's tilt that a little. There we go. Looking for Tony Gonzalez, rookie here. It's a Chiefs episode of Rip N Riff today. We'll do Eagles next week, leading up to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that would rule. Let's get Falcons legend Tony Gonzalez here.
Yeah, we'll get him on the show to rip a pack of cards. That'll be nice. All right, so we start off here with pictured here with the Falcons, but it's who he was drafted by, but went to the Raiders afterwards. Mr. Jeff George. Talk about forgotten busts. That's a guy right there. That's probably a forgotten bust.
Got a lot of chances though, because Jeff George had a huge arm. So
that's right, because he was drafted by the Colts. Then he went to the Falcons and then the Raiders, I believe, was his order there. Yeah, he was drafted by the Colts. I forgot about that. Hall of Famer here, guy who was a linchpin of those Patriot defenses in the late 90s, Mr. Willie McGinnis.
Yeah, all-time great Patriot, and very cool to see the Patriots hire Mike Vrabel, another all-time great Patriot, to be the head coach there. So nice little transition there. And I don't really have anything else to add about the Mike Vrabel hire other than I would think it was probably the single best coaching hire of this cycle.
I'm not thrilled as a Jet fan that the Patriots have competent coaching and leadership in that locker room again, and give them a couple of years and they will probably be right back in the wild card mix. Let's see here. We got Reggie Tongue pictured with the Kansas City Chiefs there, safety. Love that old Broncos look there, though. Big fan of that. They wore those. They wore that look towards the end of the year. I think against Kansas City Week 18. They need to go back to that.
Yeah, it's a good look. I was going to say that was the look they wore when they beat the Chiefs that last week of the season, right? So.
Yes. All right, let's see here. We got from the Rams also another look I'd like to see them go back to more, but even with the modern spin, we got Harold Green there. But looking at classic yellow and blue for the Rams. Gonna have a lot of Patriots in this pack today here. We got Keith Byers, former Eagle, pictured with the Patriots there.
How about that?
We got what does this say? Thank you for buying a Pinnacle Score pack, blah, 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 blah. Thank you for that. Throw that out of there.
No problem.
All right.
What are you up to nowadays, Pinnacle?
Yeah, exactly. We got probably a guy who you were probably a fan of when you were younger, Mr. Jesse Armstead. The classic look there.
Back when the Giants actually gave a crap about having competent linebackers, something that they haven't really had in the last 15 years or so. And on a coincidental note, the Giants don't win a lot of football games. I wonder if there's a direct correlation between the two, but I don't know. That's neither here nor there.
I remember it was like Strahan on one side rushing, and then you had Armstead on the other side. So it was like you couldn't really go either way against the Giants defense.
Right. Yeah. So love that classic Giants look as well.
All right. So we've got two rookies here. One Troy Davis here for the Saints. Where did he go to college? He went to Iowa State back in the day before colleges could actually afford, stickers on their helmets. Some of them apparently. And then out of Cal.
Oh, they can afford the stickers on the helmets. They're just choosing not to spend the money on there, just like they choose not to spend the money on the players.
Now we got Kansas City Chiefs rookie back in this class, Pat Barnes out of Cal Berkeley. Again, oh, you know what? They probably couldn't use they probably can't use the college logo and have to airbrush it out back then.
Yep.
Now we're gonna close this pack strong here. Like this is like worth the pack opening right here. Glad I got this pack because it's two of my all-time favorite players here. Let's start with this is part of the quote the big play insert series, Mr. Barry Sanders.
Yeah, certainly a guy who made a lot of big plays in his day. So I can understand why they went there. Is there another wonderful fun fact of Barry Sanders on the back of the card telling us how he's a good guy?
Let's see here. Barry needed 161 yards to win the rushing title. All he did was run for 175 and make a ton of 49ers miss on a 54-yard touchdown. I actually remember that game. That was a Monday night game that closed the season. Yeah, Frank Gifford's talking about it there. He says if he's not the greatest ever, he's second to only Jim Brown. I think that's pretty fair.
Yeah, it's certainly high praise. And all these years later, I think that's still probably a factual statement. Like if you were going to go the all-time running backs, it's probably like Jim Brown 1, Barry Sanders 2. I mean, and then you figure out where like Emmett fits into the whole equation since he actually has the yardage record. But yeah, that's probably about how I would rank it.
What I'm excited about is as a Barry Sanders collector, I don't believe I have that one in my collection. So it's always nice to add a random one in there too. You know, I know it's not worth a lot, but it's nice to have. You know, it's nice to pull one out of your pack. Now, if Barry's my favorite running back of all time, my second favorite running back of all time would have to be that man, Mr. Curtis Martin.
Yeah, and that's a weird photo in that it looks like his ankle's like turning the wrong way there. I can't tell if that's actually his leg or if that's
yeah.
That's a very weird photo there. But aside from that, I've been meaning to ask you because Curtis Martin, one of your all-time favorite Jets, but he obviously didn't start with the Jets. He started with the Patriots, who one of the Jets' biggest rivals. So when it comes to Curtis Martin collecting, how does that impact like what you go for? Because obviously you want to get like as much Jet stuff as you can, but like, you know, I'm sure you have some Curtis Martin rookie stuff, but like, do you go out of your way to get Curtis Martin rookie stuff? Because like, I hate looking at that Patriots jersey and that helmet and all that.
No, because I'll say this in a lifetime of rooting for the Jets, where you know when I grew up, it would be the Jets and the Patriots battling to stay out of the basement of the AFC East. And then, you know, having to watch the Patriots dynasty, that's one of the few times that the Jets got one over on the Patriots. So I'm actually okay with that. That's how I choose to view that. So yeah, and just as he's one of my favorite Jets of all time, and as a Curtis Martin collector, what I'll say is I'll collect it all. So like if you collect a guy, you know, then it doesn't matter. Like I can deal with him being a Patriot rookie because he had what 2 years there before we got him. It's fine. I don't care. It's you know. It wouldn't be like, oh, he was a lifetime Jet and then he went on to go win the Patriots, Super Bowl with the Patriots at the end of his career. Then maybe I wouldn't want any Patriot cards at the end. But no, I'll take any and all Curtis Martins.
I guess the modern day equivalent would be if you're an Eagles fan and you're collecting all the Saquon stuff now with the year he's having and them going to the Super Bowl. And it's like, yeah, you could dive a little bit further back into the recent past and get Saquon rookie stuff, but it's gonna have all that Giants stuff on there, and obviously the Eagles and the Giants, no love lost between those two franchises. So,
see, if I'm an Eagles collector, I would absolutely want Saquon Barkley Giants rookies if I'm an Eagles fan because A, he might go and win your Super Bowl here in the next week or two. Two, that's like, that's a fond memory of like the Giants screwed up and it was to our benefit, and boy did they benefit. So. Like that to me, that in that scenario, I got no problem if I'm an Eagles fan collecting Saquon Barkley, having Giants rookies in that collection. No problem.
I hate the Eagles so much. Oh man, they managed to ruin. They managed to make Saquon Barkley unlikable.
And here's the thing: I texted our buddy Joe this after the first Saquon touchdown. I'm like, do you think John Mara needs a new television right at this very moment? Like, how many TVs has that guy gone through this year throwing a remote at it?
Yeah, I mean, there's not just that, but like with this Super Bowl run the Eagles are on, you know, he's probably sitting there asking himself, "It's like, I really kept Brian Daboll and Joe Shane, like really?" Like, is it too late for me to make a change?
It's not even like, okay, he was on board with it in hindsight's 2020. We've all seen the clip. He was literally standing there saying, I would hate to see him go to Philadelphia. And Saquon right now could probably, listen, he could get away with any non-serious crime in Philadelphia right now.
Oh, 100%. And like, it is what it is. I don't really have much more to add other than like, God, I just hope the Eagles lose. Like, this has been a rough enough season as a Giants fan. Like, the last thing I need is Saquon like winning a Super Bowl year 1 in Philly. It's like, come on.
Yeah, that would be that would not be that would be a subpar season for the Giant fan in every shape and form. So we're gonna do. You subtly flipped me off there, I think. By the way, you gave
no. I saw a little something here in my facial hair. I was trying to pick out. I don't know what it was.
So there we go. So there we'll do more of a true Super Bowl preview next week because, like we said, it's it's going to be all the talk this week, and there's going to be plenty of talk next week. So we talked about our thoughts on the Chiefs today. Ripped some good football cards there. Now, before we get to baseball here, so one thing we had talked about previously on the show is that the Paul Skenes 1-of-1 card that you wouldn't take the Livy Dunn offer and all that stuff. The card was finally found, and with the Pirates, I believe the package they offered him was pretty substantial, and he was like, "Nope, I'm just going to keep this card. Thank you very much."
Smart kid.
Yeah.
How about instead of taking that poo-poo platter of whatever, it was some kid in LA who had no connection to the Pirates. So it's like, yeah, why would I want to go to play a softball game at PNC Park? And what do I care about hanging out in the luxury suite with Livy Dunn when we could take this card and probably sell it for 6 figures and build the old college fund there. So smart kid to say no. He must be watching this show because saw another smart person like me who pointed out that maybe actually taking him up on that offer and sitting in the luxury suite with Livy Dunn probably not the best decision for your future.
Now, okay, so this is a kid in LA. Let's assume he's a Dodgers fan or even an Angels fan. If they had worked with the Dodgers or Angels, and maybe not the Angels so much right now, but they had worked with them to put together a package of like, okay, we'll get you this guy's autographed bat, this guy's autographed shirt. Like with the Dodgers, it's a murderer's row of, just an Ohtani thing alone would probably be worth. Then maybe he might have said, like you said, if it's a kid in LA and you're offering all this pirate stuff, like, great. Like, if I'm a New York Rangers fan, if you offered me, I got some rare hockey card of a Winnipeg Jet and you offered me an all expenses paid trip to Manitoba, and like a Kyle Connor autographed this and a Mark Scheifele autographed that and a Connor Hellerbuck like stick, like, yeah, that stuff's all cool. Like in a different world, maybe I would have been like, that's not doing anything. Sorry.
I loved how, as you were setting it up, I'm thinking to myself, what team could he use here? And I'm thinking to myself, Winnipeg Jets. Like, please, God, say Winnipeg. And the second you went there, I was like, God, yes, I love it.
Oh man, but I mean that's like not just. And I'm not poo-pooing Connor or Hellebuck or Scheifele. They're all some of the top players in the league, but like that does nothing for me as a Ranger fan. Come at me with Brian Leach, Henrik Lundqvist, Igor Shesterkin. Come at me with that stuff, and now like, all right, maybe we might be able to work something out here.
Yeah, you know what else does nothing for me? An all expense paid trip to Winnipeg in January. Does nothing for me.
That's it. Back to Winnipeg. If you're a Simpsons fan, you'll get that. All right, so let's do
there's a lot of Simpsons references on this show today. You just have to look really closely for them.
Yes, exactly. There's some Topps 2024 heritage here. Let's just get right into it here. Maybe we'll get some Pirates or Paul Skenes rookie. Who knows? All right, so right now we got the 1986 most valuable players here. Mike Schmidt and Roger Clemens card. So that's kind of cool. Not really worth much, but cool to look at.
It's cool to look at. They both should be in the Baseball Hall of Fame. And unfortunately, Roger Clemens isn't, which continues to make the Hall of Fame a little bit of a sham. So it is what it is.
We're going to have fun with this pack. So we got Jordan Montgomery here, pictured with the Texas Rangers. There you go.
Yeah, great look there. Jordan Montgomery. I don't really love those Rangers jerseys. I guess it's like a throwback to like I don't know, Rice or
Well, that apparently Bryce people were kind of complaining, like, "Oh, where have you seen that jersey before?" It's like a spitting image of the Rice College baseball jerseys.
right. It's a very similar look there, and but you know, it is a throwback look there, I suppose. And Jordan Montgomery, always a good look for you when you sign with a team, and then a year later, the owner's like, "Wow, we really screwed this one up. You know, we would have had such a better year if we didn't sign Jordan Montgomery."
Yeah, Jordan Montgomery, like, he's just like a middle of the midline rotation guy at this point.
But he had that one huge postseason, so credit to him. And anytime you can, stick it to Brian Cashman, who was like, Brian, I don't know if Jordan Montgomery is good enough to make our playoff rotation. Well, he was good enough to anchor a playoff rotation that won a championship. So shows how much you know, you moron.
How do you really feel? Let's stay with the Rangers here. Jacob DeGrom. That's a sharp Ranger jersey. If the first one is terrible, that one's a good one.
Yeah, that's the classic Ranger look that I'm thinking of when I think back to like the 70s and 80s. That is a classic look there, and that's gonna, assuming Jacob DeGrom's, the Jacob DeGrom of old, he's finally worked his way back from the Tommy John surgery. That'd be such a huge get for that rotation.
I throw these questions out at you occasionally. Is he number retire worthy for the Mets?
I mean, they've been retiring a lot of numbers lately, but probably because he was, for that 5-year stretch when he was with the Mets, he was in the conversation for the best pitcher in baseball. I mean, the best pitcher in baseball during that stretch was like a toss up between like him, Kershaw, and like Max Scherzer. And DeGrom was just posting Cy Young caliber years every year, and even though he had no help around him, and the bullpen seemingly blew every game, and he's just sitting there posting like a 1.6 ERA. Peak DeGrom was absolutely incredible. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Mets did retire his number at some point.
All right, we got the NL champion card from this year featuring the Arizona Diamondbacks there. That was quite the run they had that year.
Yeah, shout out to Corbin Carroll and the Diamondbacks, and they had a huge signing this offseason with Corbin Burns, bringing him to Arizona. So they're doubling down on having a top tier rotation with with him and Zach Allen and Merrill Kelly and all those guys. So I don't know if they're going to be. I don't think they have enough to obviously compete with the Dodgers, but they're trying to stay in the mix there in the NL West.
I mean, it's the Dodgers, and then I would say that second tier is the Padres and the Diamondbacks, and then the Giants are kind of chasing them, and then the Rockies are irrelevant. So there you go. We got a couple of White Sox coming up here. We got Oscar Colas there with one of them, and then Luis Robert Jr.
Yeah, the White Sox should keep tearing it down, which means they should probably trade Luis Robert. Yeah.
I mean, he's a hell of a player, but he's got no value. Like, what is he? He's much more valuable somewhere else.
Yeah, he's basically like a DH only type of bat. He's not really a good outfielder, but certainly can hit. And he's on a relatively friendly contract, so that's someone they should probably look to move on from next.
Yeah, I would agree. Now, Super Bowl's coming up in a couple weeks. Talked a little bit about that here. This one is a news flashbacks card. I don't know why a baseball pack would have a Louisiana Superdome opens in New Orleans card. It's a little bit of a random place because considering a football team plays there. I mean, I know the basketball team, the Hornets, played there randomly a little bit, but
flip it to the back. Maybe they did like an exhibition game there at some point.
Let's see here. Standing 27 stories tall and built on 52 acres, the Superdome opened a year late and cost $71 million more than the estimates. The first event was a multi-purpose venue was a pro football exhibition game. The first concert was highlighted by the Allman Brothers that month. Now, that's a hell of a band, especially back in the 80s. Get to open a massive facility like the Superdome. Why the hell is that a baseball card?
But yeah, exactly. That'd be like putting a card in there for like Madison Square Garden. It's like it was just totally out of place.
The Roman Coliseum has had many historic events happen in it. Blah 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 blah. Like, right, but did they ever play baseball there? All right, let's finish the pack. We got an Anthony Volpe Yankees card, and this one might be a little painful to open. To look at is Juan Soto.
I was not ready for Juan Soto to come out in this pack, so a little painful on that one. I mean, look, the Yankees pivoted the best they could after losing Juan Soto, so we'll see. We'll see how good the Yankees are. I mean, they're probably good enough where they could still win the American League, just off the strength of their rotation. But I mean, I don't know what the hell the Yankees are doing at second base this year. It seems like they've pretty much capped out in terms of spending, even though they could spend more. They just choose not to, which is infuriating as a fan. So it's just really annoying.
I don't disagree, but and on this show, usually the Yankees front office, gets taken to task. But like you said, considering what had the fallout from, so I think they did as well as they could this year to try and fill that void at multiple spots. So see how it goes. One more pack to go here. Hopefully nothing. Maybe we'll get something about when Market Square Arena opened in Indianapolis. That was the last place Elvis performed before he died. So it does have some significance. Let's see here. In this pack, we got an Andrew Abbott rookie card there. Not too bad. See how he does with the Reds this year. Looked pretty good last year. See how he does with another year of seasoning there. Let's see here. 2005 most valuable player card. We got Alex Rodriguez and Albert Pujols. Man, two guys that could really hit the ball in that era.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's going to be another one of those multi-cards where one guy's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, and the other guy is not going to be. So it kind of is what it is.
Have I ever told my Albert Pujols story on Rip N Riff?
I don't think so.
So the year that they had the All-Star game was right after New Busch Stadium opened. So whatever that was, I don't remember the exact year. It had to be 2009, 2010, something like that. And I was producing The First Word with Gary Williams, and we went out to cover that from Mad Dog Radio. And I got to go to the Home Run Derby that year, and Pujols was in the Home Run Derby. When I tell you, when he came to the plate, the entire stadium stopped. Concession workers, fans, everything. I could have probably, if the New Yorker and me, I probably could have pickpocketed 10 people and got out of there. Literally, I've never seen anything like it. You're at a, even at a hockey game, there's a penalty shot coming. The whole building is watching, but there's still a couple people that don't, aren't it. Literally, the entire stadium stopped to watch this guy's home run derby. Not a hot dog was sold. I can't imagine anybody's at the concession stand. The bathrooms around. It was literally everyone was fixated on. It was cool to see that, and I understood why, but that was one of those moments that still sticks out in my head.
I don't actually remember what he did in that home run derby. Do you remember off the top of your head?
No, I don't think he won it that year. Because that was back when the home run derby format could just go on forever and ever. And at a certain point, I'm like, all right, I'm going back to the hotel.
Yeah, that's the problem with the home run derby. I went to the one in Yankee Stadium with Josh Hamilton, and that's all that anyone remembers from that home run derby was the incredible first round that Josh Hamilton had. But he didn't win the home run derby. I remember who won the home run derby. I think most people don't. So kind of is what it is.
Give me a hint.
Former MVP.
But the AL or NL? But I know
American League.
Miguel Cabrera?
No.
I don't know.
Justin Morneau won the home run derby that year.
Well, Mauer and Morneau was quite the pairing back then. Got a few more baseball cards to get through here before we get to our pulls of the day and the figure 5. We got a Blake Rutherford rookie card here with the Nationals. Kind of a bland National look there.
Yeah, former Yankee farmhand Blake Rutherford.
We got a couple of World Series cards back to back here. Game 1, which Texas won 6-5, and then Game 2, which Arizona won 9-1. Kind of a cool action shot there, mid windup. We'll stay with the Texas Rangers. A heavy Rangers Diamondbacks pack here. Jonathan Ornelas rookie card, and we got a Ketel Marte card there.
Yeah, overall some pretty sweet cards there.
And then we'll wrap the pack. We got a Twins Joe Ryan, and we close the first pack with the Yankee. Do it again, this time Luke Weaver.
Yeah, and Luke Weaver, he's going to be a very valuable piece of that Yankee bullpen again. The fact he's not going to have to close, I think, makes him even more valuable because he could just come in and be that swing guy fireman type that, put out a fire in the middle of the game. You trust Luke Weaver to do it, so.
Luke Weaver, good pitcher there. Going to be vital to the Yankees this year. Now it's time for our pulls of the day here. Let's see who is better. For me, it's pretty easy. It's either that Curtis Martin base card or the Barry Sanders. Probably the Barry Sanders there. I mean, there were some good cards in this Topps Heritage pack. You know, the Juan Soto base card probably. I mean, actually, no, I lied. I mean, how could this card right here? We could not go through a day without having a baseball card talking about the Superdome winning. That's my pick.
Yeah, yeah. I think now you mentioned that that's gonna be my pick as well. As I drop the Sauce Gardner rookie card and lower the value of that one even more.
I'll take it off your hands for whatever it is.
Oh, I'm sure you would.
I will. All right, so there we go. Time to get to the starting lineup figure 5 here. And of course, it's Jared gets 5 questions to figure out who might be unboxed today. We are going to go back to the world of football here. So that's all he gets. And are you ready, Jared? Are you ready to maybe snap the skid here and maybe get us back on track and unboxing something?
Sure. Yeah, let's give it the old college try.
And with that, first question. Go for it.
You know, when Apu went to that Quickie Mart in India, and he was like, and Homer was like, "Is this really the first Quickie Mart?" It's like, "Yes." It's like, "Really?" "Yes." It's like, "This place?" "Yes."
Thank you. Again.
All-time
great.
Is this player in the Pro Football Hall of Fame?
Hold on a second here. I have to get his thing up on the Pro Football Reference page up. That was the one thing I forgot to do.
Come on. Do a little show prep for once.
Let's see here. He is indeed in the Hall of Fame.
There we go. Is this player a quarterback?
Not a quarterback.
Okay. Did this player ever win a Super Bowl championship?
He is a 3-time Super Bowl champion. You would remember 2 of them. You might have forgotten the last one with a different team.
Is this an offensive player?
Yes.
I think I might know who it is. Let me try narrowing it down a little bit further.
Okay.
Is this a tight end?
Interesting that you are potentially on the right path here. Yes. So what do we got? One more?
I think that was the last one. Is this Shannon Sharp?
Get the hell out of here. That is correct, my friend. Good job.
There we go. Back on the wagon. Let's go.
I am very impressed with that because you're not going to think tight end right away. We did talk about Travis Kelce earlier, but there was really no connection other than today's episode. Did that 2 Super Bowls and then that third one, is that what kind of got you locked in? Because he got
that got me locked in there. Because obviously he won the 2 with the Broncos, and then he picked up the third one with the Ravens. And he was a big part of that Ravens team, but he wasn't the biggest part of that Ravens team because obviously that team was known for their defense and some of the other guys they had. But then again, Shannon Sharp certainly liked to talk. So and so did that Ravens team. So
Shannon Sharp, I mean, he'll never be considered the greatest tight end of all time, but he was dominant and he's up there. He's not going to be considered the best, but he's one of the best.
Yeah, it's certainly one of the best. I don't know how his numbers are in comparison to all the rest of these guys, but he was a key part of 2 different championship teams. So credit to him.
So let's run through the resume here. He was obviously a Hall of Famer, 8-time Pro Bowl, 4-time All-Pro, Hall of Fame All-90s team, 3-time Super Bowl champion. He had 3,000-yard receiving seasons as a tight end. Then he had a couple of 800-yard seasons too, and he had 1 year where he fell 5 yards short of another 1,000 yards. So I mean, this guy was doing it all, and that's kind of like a over the middle Shannon Sharp there going and making the catch. Ivan, that's kind of that's what he did a lot of, and I love that.
Yeah, they kind of capture it there. I mean, that feels like a very early starting lineup figure, but they kind of capture it there. But then the helmet looks good. Let's see the back of the figure.
And then, this is a 95. Let's get that up there. So you got the name, you got the Sharp. I mean, love the orange Broncos look. I have Elway in the orange one, so I wanted to have, I like to try to have the dark and light of every team. So now I got the light for the Broncos.
Very nice. I'm glad I got this one this week because I feel like every time you try sneaking Randall Cunningham or Sean Kemp by me, I horribly miss.
Yes, you do, and you can throw Chris Mullin into that mix as well.
Yeah, Chris Mullin.
I got to see if I may have to open an Eagle just to have ready for next week. But Shannon Sharp's going to be in the starting lineup studio audience for our Super Bowl preview episode. Who's in there today? Well, I'm trying to appease both sides here. So today we'll do our tribute to Kansas City, show them a little bit of love. Good barbecue there. Got a 95 Joe Montana, a 1998 Danny Tartable, a 1990 Bo Jackson, and a 92 Derek Thomas. Rest in peace, Mr. Thomas. One of the all-time great linebackers and pass rushers there. So next week I'll probably go Philadelphia heavy, but the problem is I don't have a ton of Philadelphia starting lineups there. It's not really my thing.
No, well, I'm sure you could scratch something together. You certainly have to have a sixer. I would guess you have a flyer with all the different ones we've done. I feel like we've opened a flyers one before on the show, and
I know I have a sixer. I know I have a Philly. It's dicey after that.
Yeah, Philly probably got like Mike Schmidt or someone would be my guess, or maybe I don't know, like Mike Lieberthal or something. No, I'm trying to think like who was on the Phillies in the 90s.
So I know, we're going back to our theme 2 weeks ago of my first football jersey being random as a Rick Meyer. Starting lineups were sometimes hard to find. So my first starting lineup, and I still remember getting it, was a Philadelphia Philly Shane Rawley starting pitcher. Probably don't even remember the name, but that was my first starting lineup. I do remember them.
But do you still have it?
Yes. Yeah. He'll be, you know what? He's going to be, so him and Allen Iverson for sure will be in the audience next week. So will this guy. I don't know who else would. Maybe I'll have to find another tight end to fill the void there. There we go.
I mean, we could find an Eagles starting lineup somewhere. I feel like we've done. I don't know. Maybe McNabb was just a wrong guess. There's got to be somebody.
There's like a Ricky Waters. There's a Ricky Waters, and it's Ricky Waters and Randall Cunningham. I think is all I got. So we'll have to see there.
There's got to be somebody. Brian Dawkins or whoever. I mean, they've had a ton of good players come through that organization in the last however many years.
They do have some.
You're going to tell me they didn't make a Deuce Staley starting lineup at some point?
That was after I think they really stopped making them at that point. He has probably McFarland figures, but not starting lineup figures. That was like the transition there.
That might be the next evolution of this segment.
Oh, those are huge. I don't got space for all that. And those are those hard shell plastic that are like almost impenetrable to open. It would be a 7-minute segment, me just trying to open the damn thing with scissors. What do we got coming up on YouTube at Jared Moore Poker this week?
I don't know. I have to make some shorts. I've been lazy about it. So I got to get to work on that probably today.
It's a mystery. We'll find out. Total Hockey Now will be back on Thursday. Been running through the Thursday slates lately. That's been fun with myself and at Mr. Merez with the new daddy, Ant Rivera 86, taking a little time off. So kudos to him. And Jared's got all the Devils covered. Jared, all about the jersey.com at AAT Jersey blog. But that does it for at Mr. Jared Moore. I am at Pucking Thoughts, Adam Bernard. It's been a great episode of Rip and Riff. Please give us a follow, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. You see it right there, Rip and Riff on all those social media platforms. But for Jared Moore, I'm Adam Bernard. Back with you next week, an all new episode of Rip and Riff here on the Rip and Riff YouTube channel.